I don't often stroll, but when I do, I certainly don't mind doing it here. Far from the madding crowd, I'm surrounded by the humbling beauty of the Maracas Valley in St. Joseph. I'm regaled by singing birds in this small pocket of paradise kept cool in the shadow of emerald forested mountains. Wow, I'd never have imagined that this stately house and vast expanse of manicured greenery was hiding behind the tall hedge surrounding the property. The great houses I've visited so far have very little or none of their estates left. Ortinola appears frozen in time, still governing its vast domain. Just the name Ortinola has an innate beauty in the way it rolls off the tongue. The grounds certainly live up to that name. This house is the jewel that was set in the crown of the Ortinola estate that spanned an incredible 430 acres. As I've found with these buildings, the history is as riveting as the architecture. The Ortinola estate has an esteemed connection to a famous brand, Cadbury. Now, Cadbury Brothers, as it was called back in those days, was better known for drinking chocolate, the beverage, hot chocolate. Today, it's better known for eating chocolate. Right. Now, the estate was leased by the Cadbury Brothers in the 1800s. The estate house was occupied by J.P. Bain, who was the manager for the Cadbury Brothers. Historical accounts indicate that J.P. Bain was also known as Cocoa Bain, an appellation perhaps owed to his considerable understanding of cocoa cultivation. He is said to have lived in the Ortinola Great House well into the 1900s, even after his retirement. These worn-down concrete foundations, the old bones of Ortinola's cocoa operation, offer a faded glimpse of the once tremendous economic prowess of the coveted cocoa bean in Trinidad. Cocoa underwent an important transformation in the 1800s in Great Britain. Advances in mechanization led to the improved processing of cocoa. This meant that there was an increased demand for cocoa, and this naturally translated into a cocoa boom in Trinidad. It benefited the economy tremendously, and the Ortinola estate is just one of many that prospered during this period. There are no records that show the exact year that the Ortinola Great House was built, but it is believed to have been completed in the 1890s. It was severely dilapidated when Russell Nath and his wife bought the property. They admit that they had plans for the estate, but none for the house.
When we did get the estate, which of course is a few hundred acres, we thought we'd develop it and plant timber and fruit trees and stuff like that. We had no idea whatsoever at the time of restoring the house. Actually, Mr. Morris Kennell, who was very, very nice to us when we were purchasing the estate from them, had asked me during the negotiations if we had plans to bulldoze the house and maybe do condominiums or something. It didn't even enter my mind at that time, you know, about something like that. It was later on, well after we bought it, the fortunate financial circumstances I mentioned earlier, which allowed us to buy it, unfortunately turned upside down. And as you know, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Right. So I came strolling around with the family one day, and we looked at the house and said, look, this thing has to become an income-earning asset in some way.
The family had a sit-down and decided on a strategy. The old Ortinola Great House would be restored and repurposed. Looking lovely is one thing, but the building would have to earn its keep. With a restoration to its original form, the house would serve as a unique venue for conferences, retreats, and weddings. But this wasn't going to be easy or cheap. Russell started off with a bare-bones crew on the crumbling structure.
I had some dealings with a carpenter in Sangre Grande on my own house, and I brought him to look at it. And he looked at it, and then we started. We originally, with the first crew, the size of the crew was myself and himself, two people. We started with a pig foot, a hammer, you know, just getting all of the old rotten wood out of the house.
These photographs of the house before work began show the extent of decay. Simply put, the house was a mess. There are few people who would look at a building like this and automatically think restoration. The concrete pillars supporting the house needed to be restored. The entire roof had to be redone. The Demerara windows needed attention, and the signature fretwork on the outside had to be replaced. A sample was taken, a template made, and hundreds of feet of fretwork recreated. The entire restoration would take more than 2 years to complete. In looking at the finished product, it is difficult not to be moved by what is clearly a remarkable feat of restorative work.